Hello, and welcome to episode 134 of Masters of the Forge. I am here with Jason.
Hey, Adam, how you doing?
I'm doing great. If anyone's wondering why this episode sounds like a NPR show, it's because Quinn is asleep in the next room, and I'm going to try to remain...
Don't wake the baby. Oh, it's going to be hard for me not to troll you on that. I'm sorry. I want to apologize now.
Oh, never apologize.
Okay.
Oh, man. So, we're just squeaking this sucker in before January's over. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, we've both been pretty busy this month.
I have been... We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our hobby progress. Last time you went first, so this time I'll go first.
Go for it.
I had a lot of hobby progress to talk about.
Yeah, dude.
So I finished the... What? You gonna give me crap?
No, I'm not giving you crap. I mean, every time I turn on Facebook, I've got a notification of Adam posted in 1 hour a night. Adam posted. Mm-hmm. Instagram was just like the same thing. I was like, you okay, dude? It's like,
see, yeah.
Wait, where the hell did this Blood Bowl team come from?
Right?
That actually did come out of my mouth the other day. I was like, what? Where's this from? So, okay, go ahead, man.
Yeah, so last month I was able to finish those Drukhari before the new year.
That's awesome.
Thank you. It's a big old army. It's like 2,500 points finished. I finished the Talos on New Year's Eve. I did that while we were watching the Fine Gentlemen on NBC get drunk, which is always fun. Watching the Silver Fox get drunk on national television with Andy. I love it. I'll watch that all the time. That was a lot of fun. I'm really glad. It's just funny that halfway through it, I accidentally started painting the checkered pattern in the wrong pattern.
Oh no.
No, it's true. I completely finished one of the jets in a mirror pattern.
Well, it's a character.
And I even had it like clear coated before I noticed that it was totally in the opposite pattern. I'm like, well, crud. What do I do with this? So I don't know. Some of the things are, it's just, I mean, that's just kind of what happens.
Yeah.
I took a annual photograph. I do it every year of everything I painted. And it's, the bulk of it was the Drukhari and the Kharadron Overlords. That was really the main bulk of what I did this year. But it's about 7,800 points, over 7,800 points, and 323 models. So it was very exciting. It's not too bad considering everything we had going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Including a new Nurgling. Or
exactly.
Biotitan, however you want to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once the new year was up, I immediately had to, I should have done previously, but I did not. So, I mean, this is all my fault, really. But Golden Sprue was coming around the corner. We had 75-ish players to prepare for.
A lot.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's a lot of prep for that because every year we tend to borrow more and more. We need to borrow stuff, and you risk damaging people's stuff, but also other people's stuff can be
and not as good a repair.
Yeah, and like last year I had to ship somebody's terrain back to them because they left it on accident. So it's a lot easier to just have enough terrain.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, I need to build 5 tables of terrain for the event, each with 2 large ruins, 2 medium ruins, 2 hills, and 2 woods. And these are all kind of big-ish pieces, so that does give a lot of coverage. So I painted 20 hills, 20 large ruins, 20 small ruins, and 20 woods.
Yeah.
Built and painted. Now you do the math.
Wow.
How many hills, ruins, and woods did I need for each of those 5 tables if I needed 2?
Well, you would have needed 10 of each, but I see you've done 20, so you've done stuff for 10 tables instead of 5?
That's exactly what happened, and I, again, didn't notice until it was totally complete. Well, I literally didn't know. Not only did I not notice until it was complete, I didn't notice until I was at the event setting up terrain, and I'm like, why do I have all this terrain? Oh. No, what did I do?
Yeah. As you're running the numbers down, I was looking at your notes and thinking, wait a second, am I missing something? But now I see what's happening. Okay, cool.
So there's that. Terrain Repair Day came, and we did it at the event, and that was nice. Not a lot of people showed up for that, but, what can you do?
I always enjoyed the terrain repair days, but then I realized that typically you wouldn't put John and I on the same thing just because we both kind of paint the same and we're both slow. So I think that was like the first time I really hobbied with you guys was at a terrain repair day, and we were fixing that armor cast stuff. Yeah. And what was, I think you gave John and I the details, and I hear you say, oh man, I think I gave the details to the wrong people.
Stop painting so well.
Yeah, well, I bought some of that armor cast whenever I moved down here because just like, I gotta have this because it reminds me of Albany.
That stuff is really good. And this year, one of the guys, Andrew, he said, a lot of people, what they do is they'll put stuff like this on a base, and they can call it a piece of terrain. And we've always had problems with that armor cast stuff. Like, it's kind of annoying to set up because it's all in pieces and you have to set it up in pieces. And I thought, you know what? You're absolutely right. So literally the day before the event.
Oh, you put them on a base? Okay.
I cut out bases and I glued them to bases and I sanded the bases and painted the bases and got them set up. And they are such better pieces for having done that. We count them as woods. So it's hard to have woods on a Mechanicus board, right? Like, especially with the fat mats that are like these, mechanical style fat mats.
Right.
But you put some of the, some strings of those pipes, like each one, almost every one had a length of pipe going along it. Like the up, like that are like elevated, the elevated pipes, and then a few pieces of random mechanical pieces on them, and that counts really well as mechanical woods. So that's what we counted them as, and I was really pleased with it. I'm so glad we did that. That is so much better, and they're less liable to get lost. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, because those things are small. A couple of the parts are real small.
Yeah, so I'm super happy about that. If anything came out of it, that was just great. So I was really happy with that. But Golden Sprue Cup went really well this year. There wasn't a giant snowstorm.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
We had the most participants ever. So we had like 50 people for 40K after drops and 26 people for Age of Sigmar. So it was a really good time.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot of people. They increased the price. Like, I guess she was trying to get a hold of me, but she like doesn't talk on the internet. So I sent her an email, and she came into the store one day looking for me as if I work there. I don't work there, obviously. And she had my email printed out on paper.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, she's one of those.
Yeah.
So I didn't find out until like a couple weeks before that they had to increase the price to $1,000. So up from 400. It was kind of rough, but we still were able to. We were still able to do quite a bit of prize support. I'm just glad I was conservative with terrain purchases.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or else we'd have been in trouble.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So after Golden Sprue, I shifted gears quite a bit, and I started doing some. First of all, I had to get back to the ruins for Jeff. Mm-hmm. Jeff was kind of saying, "Well, you already given me more than I expected," but I'm like, yeah, more than you expected, but the stuff you gave me was still worth quite a bit. So we're gonna do a few pieces of ruins. Mm-hmm. So I took out my armor cast molds, or not my armor cast molds, my Hearst Arts molds.
Oh yeah.
I have the flagstone sets, and we had a big box of dental plaster that my buddy got from his dentist. So you can, if you have a good relationship with your dentist, you can probably get a thing of dental plaster without having to pay shipping, which these things are so heavy.
Right.
I mean, it's like $100 for a big box of it.
Mm-hmm. So you're making a
but
bunch
it's
of terrain.
Yeah. We have not replaced this in the 15 years that we've had it. So yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But the dental plaster is really good. Like I wanted to break some of these tiles to make kind of broken tiles, and I tried snapping it with my hands. No, I had to hit it with a hammer.
Yeah.
If the terrain is going to break at all, it's going to break at this like joins where they join together. It's not going to. It's super strong. So, anyways, I've got the like 7 or 8 lengths of fieldstone walls built and put on little MDF bases, and I have 2 medium ruins and 1 large ruin built, and those are pretty agnostic they're pretty system agnostic. You can use those for just about any. He's going to be using them for historicals,
right?
But you could use them for Age of Sigmar. You could use them for 40K. It really wouldn't matter. It's stone ruins are a thing that exist at pretty much any time period.
Right.
I don't have paint on them yet. It's been kind of cold out, and there's been stuff in the game room. So, and I need when I lay down the sand for these, I need to clamp it down so that it dries flat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just waiting for that. He's pretty happy with the progress, so I'm not trying to stress it.
Right.
I'm also going to add a magnet to each one so he can put a tree in the ruins if he wants to. Growing out of the ruins.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a thing that happens, and it adds a lot of interest to the piece when you go ahead and do that.
This is Jeff from the ICs, right? Or he used to be from the ICs? Okay.
He used to be from the ICs, and he has his own podcast now called Oh,
yeah, I know what you're talking
Arms, the Combined Arms podcast. I listen to that because it gives me a lot of. It's really interesting to hear about all other kinds of games. Like his co-host does play Age of Sigmar and 40K, but they really mainly talk about historicals and skirmish games and fun stuff like that. So I'm very interested in what they have to talk about because I usually don't know what's going on in that realm. So it's nice to hear about it's not like a weekly podcast, so it's not a huge time investment. So it's a good one for that. I painted 6 survivors for Kingdom Death.
What does that mean? Like, is that I don't understand.
Like characters.
Okay.
They're like the characters that you play. You know what? Maybe they're not even called survivors, but regardless, they're the citizens of the.
Okay.
I painted like the early ones, so it starts out where you have no gear, so it's just got like people wearing loincloths and holding sharpened rocks.
Oh, okay.
Sharpened rocks that look like faces. It's weird. The game is weird, and they're holding lanterns. So I did a little OSL, with using the lantern as a light source. So their backs are totally black still. Like I didn't even paint. Well, I did, but I thought that I just wanted to try that. Other people have done it better, but I wanted to give it a shot. I really like them. I think they're cool. Anybody look, you expand your horizons, That's the one thing. I took that Victoria Lamb class back in with Snorre a few years ago at Adepticon, and it was really good because sometimes, every once in a while I'll see somebody doing OSL. I'm like, light does not bend around corners, guys. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's...
Your model must have a hell of a gravitational pull for that light to bend around the corner and shine on that surface.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah.
So now we have 6 survivors, a lion, and the Gorm painted for that, and we're really happy to have painted models for that game.
That's cool. I know that one of our local guys has a bunch of the Kingdom Death stuff, but I haven't played the game yet, so
it has a bad rap in some circles because it does. There is a whole secondary like buy-in that's just all pinups.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And it's like I kind of don't like it, but it's also equal opportunity. But I mean, there are definitely more female pinups than male pinups, but there are definitely male pinups too. So that's good. I like that.
Yeah.
And also the game is really fun and the story is really interesting and it's brutal. The game is just your character that you've been playing for weeks can just die on a single dice roll.
Oh, wow.
with no fanfare. Like a mating pair can just after they make a baby can just walk off into the darkness and never return. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's named Kingdom Death, so obviously it's not
a happy place. I also painted a Halfling Blood Bowl team this weekend.
Uh-huh.
That was nice. I started them on Friday and I finished them yesterday or Thursday. And either way, they're done. They've been kind of sitting there for a while and they're adorable. So I painted them. I haven't played Blood Bowl in a while, but it was just kind of a fun, let's do this project,
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's nice. It's not a big commitment. It's like 6-7 minis, maybe?
Like 10. A dozen minis, but
still. Like a dozen, still, yeah.
It's not. It's like a unit. So I did those. The ones on the website obviously look way better than mine, but they're done.
Yeah.
I think my main focus, though, for a little while is going to be these Kharadron Overlords.
Oh, good.
Because we got a new army book.
Yeah, I saw that.
I split the Ether War set with Tucker. He took the Tzeentch demons, and I took the Kharadron. I already have enough of the balloon guys, though. It
Yeah.
comes with 6 of those balloon guys. It comes with the balloon dirigible commander guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's new, so he's awesome. He's like a tech priest. He's like a tech marine that can fly. He's super rad. So I have him, and it came with like one of the little boats. They're called gun haulers. They're like, they protect the big boats.
Mm-hmm.
So I have that, and I actually built that with some of my Drukhari wings, my leftovers from the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
And I magnetized it because there's a special relic that you can take that lets you transport 5 models in one of those little boats.
Oh.
So what I did was I magnetized that boat, and then I magnetized 5 of the balloon guys that come with that. And instead of putting balloons on the balloon guys, I gave them all the heavy weapons from the Thunderers that I built previously, because I didn't use any heavy weapons with them. They just had the rifles.
Oh, okay.
So now I can magnetize. So I magnetize those guys to their bases, and I put magnets on their backpacks. So now I can fly around with them magnetized to the boat, and then when they get out, they can get magnetized to their bases.
Yeah, I'd lose all that.
It's adorable.
I would lose so much of that.
I love them. They're great. They're so dynamic because they're normally the balloon guys, right? So they're like in leaping poses and stuff. So they're very interesting. It was really hard to get the arms to fit just right. But and I had definitely had to use some green stuff to get that to work, but that's okay.
Mm. Wow, that's pretty cool.
I'm not done.
Oh, I know you aren't done. I'm just... Look, man, we haven't recorded since, the 8th, I think, of December. And so I was just thinking back, how much did Adam paint in December and in January? Because every time I turn around, it's like, oh, painted this, painted that. I'm like, die.
So I had extra balloons. So now there's a special relic that you can take that lets you cast a endless spell.
Yeah.
Normally dwarfs don't cast spells, but there's a relic called a spell in the bottle. So you have an endless spell in a bottle. So I took my soul snare shackles, which they do exactly what you think they do, and I cut the shackles off, a couple on each one, and I glued the dirigible balloons instead.
Yeah.
To make it kind of seem like it's more of like a gravitational magnetic thing. Mm-hmm. And so I made a set of Caradron Overlord's Soul Snare Shackles. I still have to paint all this, and that's probably going to be my focus next couple weeks. I also built my 3rd Scrapjet. I love that buggy. It is the best. And I can't wait to paint it.
Yeah.
My buddy went to Warhammer World and picked up a Grombrindal for me. So I have Tech Priest Grombrindal that I can use for something. I'm not sure what. So we'll see. He's cool. He's a Tech Priest.
Yeah. I where was I? I guess went through a GW store and was able to pick one up.
Yeah, he's cool.
So.
And did I tell you that? Well, I'm not sure if we may have mentioned it on the Christmas episode that we were on with the rest of the NPC.
Oh yeah.
We have a Warhammer store coming to our area, so I'm interested to see what happens. That will bring. Yeah. What happens with that? That'll be. I hope they last, because that'll be nice to be able to do like armies on parade and stuff.
Right.
I'll definitely, if I finish this scrap mountain for the Caradron, I might bring them to armies on parade.
Cool.
I still don't have a cohesive enough. My orc army is still so. The quality is so random,
right? And
the schemes are not quite copacetic that it wouldn't really do well in that kind of situation. Mm-hmm. So, the Caradron are very uniform.
Yeah.
So I think that would be best. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to this Adeptus Titanicus stuff. Did I say I bought that? Maybe not. I bought 3 Warlord Titans for Adeptus Titanicus.
Oh, okay.
To use as Ordo Sinister. We talked about Ordo Sinister on a previous podcast.
Yeah,
They're the psychic Titans that the Emperor made.
Yeah, I remember that.
There aren't specific rules for them yet, so I'm going to make sure to magnetize the arms in case GW ever releases a psi weapon pack for those.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I'm sure there's lots of people who wish they'd magnetize some of that stuff.
Yeah, and they're designed to magnetize, so
are they?
Okay. Yeah, so you should definitely take advantage of that. They have like little recesses and stuff for magnetizing. Yeah,
I haven't. We don't have anyone local who's into it, so I haven't jumped in on that. So, yeah, and plus I've been buying almost everything else they've been selling, so at some point it's like, I'm not going to do that.
That's my hobby progress. I was very happy to get all that terrain done.
Yeah.
I'll talk more. I'm actually going to talk more about that terrain and stuff later.
Okay, cool.
Jason, what have you been up to?
Well, so we could basically split my hobby into 2 things, either AdMech or Thousand Suns. We'll go with AdMech first. I picked up the Dune Strider Chicken Walker thing from AdMech, which...
Oh, those are cool.
Yeah, they are. I've played against them a couple of times, and I've always been shocked at just what they can do. Finally finished building the squad of infiltrators. I started building them last Christmas, and then put them in a box to finish them later, and totally forgot about them. So I finished building those because I found the box. Went, oh hey, I've got those. That's impressive.
They're the ones from the starter set, or was it a box of new?
It was a box of new. It's the
cool.
Was it Dunestalkers / Infiltrators? They're really spindly dudes.
I love those models so much.
Yeah, they're really cool. I hated building them though.
I want to buy a box of those for my kill team. Yeah. I've got that squad of Rangers for the kill team, but I really want to get some Dune Striders or whatever the other one's called, the Infiltrators built.
Yeah, because
I just love the R2D2 heads.
I actually did play a game of Kill Team using them. We'll talk about them later. Let's see. I built a lot of the Vanguard Skitarii. I guess I had the sprues from 2 different starter boxes. One from the Kill Team starter box and one from maybe Forgebane. And I just hadn't built them, and so I went on this kind of building bender while I was off on quote unquote vacation. But what was funny is that, I was building it, and I think I finished in a day, maybe a day and a half, and realized that I had nothing to build. So I picked up a box of Electro Priests.
Nice.
Which I'll talk about more later, but they are a very tough unit in Kill Team. I did not know that until I was basically just, anyways, that was impulse buy. I basically finished building my holiday models and needed something to do before the holiday was over. And then I built an Inquisitor that was based on AdMech, so I had like a Chaos Lord legs, because I had the Chaos Lord that I picked up. And then I took the Infiltrator torso and maybe an Electro Priest arm and some other cool stuff to create a new Inquisitor just for fun. I haven't painted him yet, but he is primed. I'm still figuring out his background story before I put paint on him, to be honest.
That's smart.
Yeah, so on the AdMech, let's see. So yeah, I've primed all this, but what's really interesting about the AdMech stuff, there's so many cool bits in every box. Because everything's like a multiple build. Almost everything's a multiple build. And, you just... all this extra stuff, you can use them for your orcs, you can use them for, a warband, whatever you need them for. There's cool stuff. So I do highly recommend, if you want to get into some big time kit bashing, start digging through those boxes.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure John Blanche is partially responsible for how many bits are in those boxes.
Yeah, and he'd be proud of that too. He would own that accusation with a big old smile. All right, so that was the AdMech. Thousand Suns. Okay, so as a hobbyist, I realize that I go through periods where I just want to build. I don't want to paint. I don't want to bother with it. And this past week, I decided that I wanted to paint again. Because, I mean, there's nothing wrong. It's just sometimes I just don't feel like painting. And so I've been wanting to get back to the Thousand Suns for a bit just because I really do dig them. And so I kind of started digging through this idea of creating like a narrative list based around 3 Exalted Sorcerers on discs, which I was kind of inspired by the Wrath of Magnus coverage we did years ago. And so, because I think in there was 9 sorcerers. I think they were either all on discs or they were all highly mobile. And they came in to Fenris and just were summoning demons left and right. So I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. The Exalted Sorcerers on the discs are not the most powerful option for HQ, so I'm not power gaming it. If I wanted to power game it, it'd be Ahriman, Magnus, and hey, look, here's a whole bunch of demon princes. So I'm familiar with what the power game is, but I didn't do it. So anyways, so most of the stuff was built, actually, and primed. I just hadn't gotten to it yet. So on the Sorcerers, they had been primed, and I think they were painted red. So I've been painting the cloaks yesterday, working on... I pulled out the trusty color wheel. Because,
there's nothing wrong with that.
No. And one of the things I was looking at, you have your complementary colors, and you have triadic, and you have tetrads. And I started noticing, because I was actively looking at paint schemes, I was looking in the codex and whatnot, and realized that all the blue Thousand Suns had red cloaks. I thought, well, let's just flip that. I'm using a red armor. Let's do blue cloaks. And so that's kind of how I set that up, as various shades of blue, from a light, I think electric blue, to a magic blue from Vallejo, I think. And then to a ultramarine blue, which has a lot more purple in it than I thought it did, but whatever. It does look quite
speaking
nice.
of Flip has a Vallejo.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm super jealous because I like working with their paints, or their airline. I really like working with their airline. So,
okay,
I really do like that. All right, so yeah, I painted the cloaks. I'm working on the details now. I need to thank Skip. I don't want to encourage him though. I know, right? You just don't want to encourage him. I mean, seriously, it's just so I'm gonna do it, grudgingly. How about that? Does that work?
Okay, yeah.
Basically, he'd given me some ideas years ago for painting gold, and I decided to really run with it yesterday. Kind of give a brown base and then gold over that, and that really works. I was really happy with that. My work on that last night. All right, so that's the sorcerers. Okay, horrors. You know how we talk about batch painting? I have a problem, Adam.
Yeah?
I literally have no problem going through and saying, batch painting, cool, we'll do 60. So we'll do 20 pink horrors, 20 blue, and 20 embers. That's not
a problem.
No, and I'm just, I sat there and looked and went, oh no, I did that, didn't I? So, so yesterday, I've been busy since, Friday night? On the horrors, I painted 20 pink, 20 blue, and 20 ember. There's like a Zenithal Prime only, so I base coded them. And I had a really fun time with that, especially on the Ember horrors, because I was kind of nervous about doing those. Mm-hmm. But I was helping a friend paint a... what's that giant Forge World Primaris tank? The Atreus?
Astreus?
The Astreus. I helped a friend of mine build one and helped him prime it and whatnot. He was doing it as a Imperial Fist, so he hit like Mornfang Brown as the base, and then started hitting with like Uriel Yellow. And I thought, that is an incredible, that works. And so I don't have either one of those paints. Currently, it's like an airbrush paint, so I just used a brown I used something that's kind of similar in the Viejo line, and created something like that looks like Flames, because it has kind of the black primer, and then it's got the browns, and then it's got the golds, and then I kind of hit just a little bit of white tip here and there. So, just nice hot color look, I guess. I was pretty happy about that one. All right, so that's the horrors. The Mutalith, the Vortex Beast. So, for those of you who follow me on social media, I have insomnia, like, always. Like, if seeing me awake at 3 a.m. is not a rarity by any stretch. And so I couldn't sleep, and I was thinking about how could I paint this Mutalith. And I said, fine. I got up at 2:30, and I basically just pounded the thing out in about 30 minutes. Blue and purple body.
That's what she said.
I know. When I did like this red to orange to yellow to white kind of explosion OSL effect, and use the GW model, the painted model in the Thousand Suns book, and I think the one that's on the website is Inspiration. And I did 30 minutes on that, maybe 40. Went to sleep, came back, the next morning thinking, it wasn't that cool. And then I looked down and was like, wow, that was actually really good. I'm amazed. So,
I love it. It's great.
It needs detail
Lots of energy
work
there.
Yeah. So I just need detail work on that. I need to get the sorcerers done today. That's kind of the thing, because I want to have something that I can take to Kill Team tomorrow.
Cool.
I want to run a commander. So anyway, so I'm starting to pull together foam for a 1,500 point list, because I want to take this
don't
to.
Even get me started on foam, dude.
Well, I want to take the Thousand Suns list to Adepticon. I've been trying to figure out, because I was thinking, I'll just take my Blood Ravens, but I'm not really enjoying playing my Blood Ravens. Just because right now I think that's... I don't want to hear the discussions about how I could go through and make my list more powerful, because I don't care. Because that's not who I am. So, but anyways, I'm putting together that. I've got a bunch of Screamers that I've actually painted a while back. So I think I actually have the foam that I can take all of it without having to buy new foam. Although I do need to buy new foam just because I need to start storing stuff, because I've got Marines everywhere. Like, I'm waiting for them to come to life and just destroy the place. Well,
what's really important is that all of your models be out in the living room, in the kitchen, and just sitting on all the surfaces. That way, if you ever bring a lady over, she knows what's up.
Well, she knows that I'm not cheating. I'm just a nerd. So, because what was that IC's episode? Cheating on your spouse with 40K.
Yeah.
Hey, cool. I names dropped them. All right. Anyway,
so important.
On the Thousand Suns, I think all the airbrushing is done. I just need to do detail work. And in my notes, I have capitalized so much gold. So we'll see if I survive the detail work. All right. Luck. So that's my painting. That's my hobby. Let's get to games. And I see you've got some pretty sweet games.
I have some sweet games. Yeah. I had that narrative game with Darwin that I was threatening last time.
Yeah.
It was My Emperor's Children versus his Black Templars using the new, one of the book, that the Faith and Fury book.
Yeah.
And that was really fun. We played a narrative mission from the Faith and Fury book, the one where the Imperials are defending the holy site, and the Chaos is attacking. So I obviously played the Chaos forces, and Darwin played the Imperial forces, and he defended the Basilicum. He had a couple dreadnoughts, and they were standing like sentry defense against like at the entrance, and he had his Land Raiders and other crusading Black Templars out in the field trying to stop me. It was super good. It was really fun.
Awesome.
In the end, well, I'm not gonna ruin the actual details, because ostensibly that game is going to be on the Freebooter network.
Yeah.
As a Altar of War mission, but I still haven't seen it pop up yet. So keep your eyes open over there. I might have to remind Devrim about it. He may have forgotten, because I sent it to him like right before Christmas, like the week before Christmas. So.
Okay. I always liked Darwin's Black Templars army, because I think I remember talking to him about it one time, and he had, I think it was a Land Raider that he had bought used, and they had not put it together just right, so he just turned it into battle damage.
That's smart.
Yeah, I think it was like they didn't have
move. Especially if they use plastic glue. There's no getting that apart.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of the seams. I think they just hadn't put the seam together just right. It was one of those things you could tell it's probably the first one Land Raider they had built.
Yeah, those old plastic Land Raiders, you actually had to shave parts of it off to get the panels to line up. It's very interesting. I mean, it's a cool model, but
yeah.
I had a game with Alexis with using my Digas versus the new Sisters of Battle.
Yeah.
That was fun. But the real fun game was when I played my Orcs versus the Sisters of Battle recently, and there's a video of that. I'm not going to ruin what happened during that game, but it was a super crazy fun game.
Good.
Definitely look up Norn Queen Alexis. Is a channel on YouTube, and you'll just go to the most recent Orcs versus Sisters of Battle.
Okay.
And it's super fun. It was a good game.
I
had a fun time.
Did we share it through Masters of the Forge?
Yes.
Okay, I'll go back and check.
Pretty sure I did.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Anyways, I did play a game at Golden Sprue because I was playing as the Ringer.
Right.
I played against Tom from the oh shoot, I forgot
Crusade?
the name of his podcast.
The Great Crusade?
The Great Crusade podcast. I used Mike's Blood Angels, but I used them as Ultramarines. Yeah, I was that guy. Only because I didn't... He forgot his codex, and I'm like, well, the only way I'm going to know what I'm doing is if I play my, the faction that I usually play. So I used them as Emperors, or as Ultramarines. And we had a fun game. He cleaned my clock real bad.
Yeah.
But no, that was good. Glad I got to play him again. Actually, I played him at the Portal.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that's the second time I played him. I played a game of AOS with Tucker and a game with Mike recently. Those were fun. And we were gonna play Blackstone Fortress on Friday, but I lost the rules. I think I took the rules out to read them. And I have no idea what happened to them.
Oh, that's
they are literally just gone, which is really annoying because there's a lot more than just the rules in those packets. There's other stuff.
Yeah.
So I need to find those. Wait.
Did you just find them? Tell me you just found them.
Nope, those were instructions for something else. Anyways, yeah, I need to find those. Or the worst part is we had a box of Blackstone Fortress from the store that we used as prize support, and we just took out the models and separated them into prizes and threw away the books. It's so annoying. I know. But you know what? There is that Blackstone Fortress annual book that came out recently. Does it have the rules in it?
No.
Oh, man. That would have been great.
Yeah, I've got that annual. Yeah. I don't know which book you don't have, but okay. Ow.
Anyways, so tomorrow I have a game with... I have a narrative game lined up with some Death Guard.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about that next time.
Cool. All right, so I move over to my games.
Oh, sorry. I didn't segue. I apologize.
No, it's cool, man. Don't worry. Sorry. So I didn't get a whole lot of games in just because... I think I might have gotten more games in now that I think about when we last recorded. The one I do remember, though, I did a AdMech versus Death Guard Kill Team game. One of my notes, the Electro Priests are really powerful. We ran 125 points. I took a couple of Infiltrators because they looked cool, and I thought, yeah, these are going to be awesome. They're going to do stuff.
Infiltrators rule.
They died immediately.
You're probably too aggressive with them.
I might have been, but the Electro Priests came in and just basically started wrecking face. This is against my buddy Luis Ramos. Basically the Electro Priests came in and just started beating on things. I do admit the Death Guard have some great saves, but I was probably way too aggressive with the Infiltrators. But the Electro Priests are where it's at, man. We did take a short break from Blackstone Fortress because we've been playing every Monday for a bit, but we've taken a break for the holidays. But I think we're going to start up again pretty soon.
So, question about that. All right, did you guys move on to any of the expansions?
Yeah, we're on Escalation now.
You're on Escalation now?
Yeah.
So, oops, sorry. Is it harder? Can you ramp up the difficulty? Because I remember you saying that you guys were crushing through it pretty easily.
Yeah. We can ramp up the difficulty. Yeah.
Is that only available through Escalation, or is there a difficulty increase? Do those exist in the main rules, or is that something I should pick up the annual for?
Okay, so the way that you ramp that up, and I apologize if I don't remember the names of the quote unquote products. There's, I think, I don't remember what it's called. There's a way you can pick up cards that can be used as replacements. So now, whenever you have your cards, it's like, it's one of 4 encounters. Where are you on the initiative, or where are you on the enemy number? And so a lot of times it's just small numbers like 4 Traitor Guardsmen or Obsidious Malice and 2 Space Marines or whatever. But supposedly these new cards, they just run the numbers a little bit hotter. You do have to go and buy a box called, I think, Servants of the Abyss to get the extra models.
Have more guys. Okay.
Yeah. We haven't done it yet, just because we just haven't. But I can kind of see that happening.
I don't want to get to Malix and have it just be just a face roll.
Well, he can. I mean, with him, when we've defeated him quite often. But it's because we ignored literally everything else on the board. Just because if he gets into assault, you're going to be in problems. Just because he's such a quote unquote powerful character in that game. So, but there's a way to ramp up the difficulty, and we got to Escalation. Escalation is a little more difficult. The thing is that we also got kind of lucky in some of our relics that we've rescued. I have I'm trying to remember what relic I have. Basically a relic that I can exhaust every turn that will allow me to re-roll shots. Which you're like, oh, that's fine, but then I'm running a gunslinger, so she can kind of take out, well, not just, it's the Rogue Trader from Escalation. she's got all these great shots. And I mean, we've had turns where we all had really good rolls, and so we were able to wipe stuff off the board. And then, there was one time I had a couple of rolls where I did literally nothing, so. But I think when we took the Orc Flash Kit, that was kind of the run up the flagpole moment. Okay, now we've got to bring more people, more opponents, because this Orc is, not that it's overpowered, but it has the ability to be overpowered at times if you roll well. If you don't roll well, then it's meh. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'm a little worried about the Flash Kit. I'm not gonna introduce that quite.
He's fun though. I mean, just with him, you have to be super careful about how you run him. If you're not paying attention, he will take out your own team. And so, I mean, I'm lucky the guys I'm playing with. I mean, we've got one guy who's like a competitive 40K player, another guy who's been doing skirmish games for years. And so everyone just kind of knows that, okay, this is the guy that we have to be careful of. So, but let me see. So, to finish up my games played and whatnot, I'm getting ready to start some 40K games with 1,000 Suns, because I think that's where that's the army I'm going to take for a while I build stuff this year. I'm really excited to work on them, because I've loved them for a long time, but I never felt like I had like the painting skills to really pull them off, Right. And now I feel like I'm there. And you always hear about you can buy 1,000 Suns on eBay cheap, because it'll be the entire box with one guy built and painted, and then like they just gave up.
Yep. Don't be a statistic, Jason.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I'm sitting there painting this stuff, and I'm like, this isn't bad. Why are people doing this? I'm thinking, oh, well, because this is like, there's only 4 or 5 dudes. If I want to do like a 20-man blob of Rubric Marines, which is probably a bad idea, but whatever. I could see how that would get tough. So.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. So Jason.
Yeah.
Take my hand. Let's go beyond the fringe.
All right, let's go beyond the fringe. What you got, Adam?
So I'm after the portal. I drove home from John's house.
Yeah.
During a snowstorm, in my pickup truck, my rear-wheel drive pickup truck.
Yeah. Oh.
I hit the eject button on that shit. I'm done.
No.
I am done with having that. I was done with having that car, especially with the baby. It was just not a good vehicle for the Northeast. I love having a pickup truck.
Right.
It's so handy to have. But we had to get a different car.
Right.
So I got a new car.
A new car?
Well, not new. 2015 Subaru Forester. I love little Subaru Forester. I love it. It's so nice. Having an all-wheel drive vehicle is having a car with like cruise control is pretty great. The problem is when I bought it, after I bought it, like almost immediately it started like the exhaust started like that it is rotted out. It's got to be.
Ooh.
So I took it in. They looked at it. They're like, "Yeah, it's rotted out. You need to get a new muffler and some new like fixings for it." And they're like, and so the guy the service guy says, "I'll talk to the used car manager about getting you comped for this." And I said, "Okay." He comes back. He's like, "He's not going to comp it." I'm like, "Really?" First of all, he says no after I bought it like a month ago, and it was clearly not working. Not only that, but he didn't have the courage to tell me himself. I'm 5'6". I'm not that scary. Anyways, so as I was leaving, the salesperson that I dealt with was walking by. She's like, "How do you like the car?" I'm like, "They're not paying to have it fixed, even though it was broken when you sold it to me." She's like, "I'll go talk to him." And long story short, they fixed it. I'm pretty sure she had to take it out of her commission.
Yeah.
But whatever. You don't sell somebody a car and then so the exhaust isn't part of the lemon law rules.
Oh,
only the header, like the headers. I looked it up. Only the headers are the only part of the exhaust that are included in New York State lemon law rules. So, but they replaced it anyways because that's just customer service.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she'll go back.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I really like it. Really pleased with that car. Unfortunately, I did have to drive a brand new 2019 Subaru Forester as my loaner, and let me tell you, it's super awesome. Like for years, I've been saying, why don't they, instead of having cruise control, have match speed with target button, like from the old X-Wing game? And this has that. It has a match. It matches the speed with the person in front of you.
Okay, so I actually played that X-Wing game. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you want to follow somebody, get on somebody's butt and follow them, dude. It is amazing. So if they go like 2 miles per hour slower than you, you don't have to like. You stop, you don't have to turn off cruise control and like whatever. It instead just slows down slightly and waits for them to speed up or waits for you to say, F it, I'm going to pass them.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. So but it also had automatic steering.
What? Oh, wait, you mean like it'll do the automatic parallel parking?
It'll stay in. No, I didn't try that. But anyways, it'll stay in the lines while you're driving. So you don't even have to. It'll not only will it keep the right speed, but it'll also just drive for you, basically.
Yeah, my car has amazing. That stuff, which is, what was my car before? My car was 23 years old before. Now I have all these extra gadgets that I refuse to use because I'm a grognard. But yeah,
I was glad to get my car back because good. I was worried about, whenever I have a loaner, I'm like, what if I ding it? What do I do if it's dinged? What do I do? So I was glad, and my car is a 6-speed manual, which I love.
Oh, cool.
Going in reverse is weird though, because you have to pull up on a little knob. It's weird.
Oh, okay.
I like it. All right, what's your Beyond the Fringe?
Okay, so, well, 2 things. I mean, yeah. Sleep. Sleep's a good one, Maybe I should invest in that more often, But my real Beyond the Fringe, I'm getting a new office.
Nice.
I mean, it's not new. Most definitely not new, but it's definitely new to me.
Well, I remember you saying that it was already full of junk. Good for you, dude.
Well, yeah, it's got stuff in there. So, but yeah, it's a practice room. It's a nice size practice room, but they're rekeying it, putting a new lock on it so that I can use it because, yeah. Okay, so here's why.
I get the impression that your offices are just basically storage rooms. For all your equipment.
Well, because of what I do, yeah, it's essentially a storage room and
a place where you can lock up all your expensive stuff.
Yeah, that's very very true. So on today's Sunday, last Thursday, I was going to do a presentation. And I was going to be observed by one of my colleagues, and so I was going to go through and run a whole bunch of different miking techniques. 3 different miking techniques for stereo miking, which means I had to have 7 microphones, right? Okay, cool. That's rad. And on Wednesday, I was supposed to pick them up out of my office that's like 60 miles away, and I forgot 2 of them. I did not realize this until I was literally walking onto campus and was like, I'm missing the SM81s, and where's the 414? And this is right before I'm supposed to go be observed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so fortunately, the guy who was observing me, he got double booked for another thing, which I was actually supposed to be in that other thing with him, so I was technically overbooked as well. So he didn't observe me, which was great because I would have probably lost it, trying to figure out how to get all that to work. So I walked into the office and said, look, we got to do something. I'll give it my other office. I don't care. Just give me an office over here. And they said, don't worry. You don't. And I explained what happened with the microphones. Like, don't worry. We'll get it sorted. So I'm now getting another office. Woohoo! To store microphones and mic stands and basically just a gear warehouse, which will be nice because right now it's living in my apartment, which, yeah, with all the Space Marines, so let's go through.
You don't want that because that's a short trip to them becoming Noise Marines.
No kidding. I mean, I've made jokes in class that I train Noise Marines, and no one gets it, which is fine. But So, anyways, new office to me, not a new office. So anyway, that's my Beyond the Fringe.
Awesome. So you don't know it yet, and this is definitely the kind of thing that we should discuss together, but I did it anyways because I think you probably agree. This segment is called Astropathic Communique, where instead of trying to do an entire episode on the stuff that Games Workshop sends us, we do 5 minutes of That's Nice.
Good. Thank you. Yes, I am totally down with this because drinking from the Games Workshop fire hose content fire hose Niagara Falls, Cohoes Falls was getting a bit painful.
So yeah. Quinn is here to say hello.
Hey, buddy.
Say hi, Quinn. Anyways, Psychic Awakening. Now, I doubt you have a book report prepared because you probably just got the box.
Yeah. I just got it yesterday.
Just got it yesterday?
Yeah.
But how are you feeling about the new Psychic Awakening with the Thousand Suns in it? Are you pleased with what you see?
I'm pretty pleased with it. The first thing I did was check points because I was working on that whole, hey man, I'm going through and creating this list, but fortunately Battlescribe was essentially updated before I started building the list, so whoever updated it is also on the early book thing. So that's pretty cool. I haven't had a chance to read through the rules yet. I was looking at the kind of the cults of discipline or whatever they're called, and those look interesting, but I haven't read the rules for them yet to see, or even the narrative for them yet to see where my guys go.
I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
At some point, because we'll want to talk about how these things are actually affecting our actual armies and stuff, and what you're choosing to use in your narrative games is one. Yeah. But that brings up something interesting. Like, I feel like most narrative players have moved on to using points instead of power level at this point. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Even people who are diehard narrative players are just not using power level anymore.
I stopped. Tough. I stopped because I was playing against some people who weren't using power level, or they were kind of min-maxing it, and all of a sudden I was getting wiped off the table. Mm-hmm. And I look at the points, it's like, oh, I'm taking 100 power level, but it's really only 1,500 points or 1,600. Right. And meanwhile, they're maxed out and just trashing me all over the place. So,
and the way we have, we have Battlescribe now, and it's not hard, or whatever you use to build, and it's not that hard anymore. And and I've been doing the same thing, and even people who aren't min-maxing, like I played against Darwin, and he's using points because he hasn't. That's what he uses. So that's what he's used to doing from 6th edition, 5th edition, whatever. So that's what people are used to using, and it's just hard to ask people to make such a drastic change until they kind of. Quinn's saying, "I want to bang on that keyboard real bad." He loves keyboards. So he's just like Daddy. You want a clicky keyboard? You want a clicky keyboard, dude? Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. So I think points. I think people are just using points now, and that's fine. That's fine, unless it's something super. I actually don't know who's using power level. Even the Adepticon friendly is going to be using points.
I really liked power level. I really did like it, but the whole, escalating everything just kind of made them useless. So, or not useless, but it just didn't make it as fun. I don't know.
I think if at some point they decide, okay, we're going to try to make every option as balanced as possible, like in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And that's just it. The power level is going to be the points.
Right.
Until that happens, people are just going to use points.
Yeah. I do like, I like the ease of power level because whenever I was playing 7th edition, I knew the points for everything. But now I don't know them so much because 1, the content fire hose, and 2, it's just I don't remember. So.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm going.
Gotcha. All right.
So now we've got
Sisters of Battle are pretty. Sisters of Battle pretty sweet. Oh man, they're pretty cool. We both have the Codex. You've had it much longer than I have.
Mm-hmm.
But I've played against it a couple of times. Like I haven't read through the book at all.
Right.
But I've played against it a few times, and I am loving I'm not only am I loving the way it plays, but I'm loving the community's reaction to it.
Yeah.
Like Alexis is super stoked.
Yeah.
She is super stoked about the Codex, and she's having fun with it. And that's what I want to see. I want people to be able to have fun. Quinn really wants to eat the microphone. Like, he wants to eat it. Mama's coming with a bottle. So yeah, I'm really pleased. I'm really pleased with the. I don't know. Have you read through it very much?
I've read through it. Whenever I got the Codex, I think I got it right before Thanksgiving, and so I spent about 3 or 4 days really digging through it and kind of figuring out some interesting stuff. First of all, the Penitent engine, those things are super cool. And I was looking at kind of the rules for them and thinking, well, how would this work well? And it's like, oh, there's one version that would be incredible in Zone Mortalis, then that's for whatever reason, my brain automatically defaults to how would this work in Zone Mortalis. And there's some great stuff in there. The new models that are coming out, was it St. Catherine or I'm trying to remember the name of the actual thing. It's this big centerpiece model is incredible looking. The rules are odd, but it's if I remember right, I haven't looked at this in a bit. It has like 5 relics or 6 relics, and they seem to be aura buffs, which is awesome. But sometimes that stuff you don't realize how powerful it is until you actually see it in a game. Like you can sit there and think, oh, this looks like it might be powerful, but it's sometimes more powerful, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm really the Penitent engines and the flagellants and stuff. Those just seem really interesting how they've changed it and stuff. So
did we talk about? I don't know if we've talked about this in the last episode. I actually did a Sisters of Battle kill team game. I think I did it right after Thanksgiving. I don't remember. I will say that the Sister Repentia soloed almost my opponent's entire Tyranid army. Like everything else was just sitting there because I took a bunch of Sisters of Battle. I'm like, hey, this is what they should be, and I'll have a Repentia and I'll have a couple of Flagellants. But the Repentia just kind of decided that no one else gets to kill. I kill only, and just basically just started wiping everything out. I mean, I had
That's
good
awesome.
rolls. I used the stratagems properly, but it got to the point where I felt kind of bad for my opponent because he'd been playing Genestealer Occult, and this is the first time he'd played with this new Tyranid list, and here comes Sister Repentia, ready to chop things up. So
I love it. That sounds like a great idea for a topic, like the Pain Engine flagellant, like cult of like like sisters, like how they try to absolve themselves of their sins. I think that would be a cool. So like that sounds fun. We just had the LVO preview last week or this week.
Yeah. So
Makari's return. I'm very excited about that.
How
that model looks crazy.
I was wondering how you're taking that.
Here's the thing. I have that Mike gave me. He gave me in that box. Oh, by the way, I gave away a bunch of those orcs or those Gretchen.
Which Gretchen?
Some guy in the Independent Characters Patreon group is starting orcs. He's like, what do I need? I have all this.
Grots.
I have this, and this. What do I need?
Second edition Grots.
You need a bunch of second edition Grots.
Yeah.
Guess what? What's your address? How much do I owe you? Literally $0. Go yourself.
just listen to Masters of the Forge and it'll be okay. That's all the payment we need. Love you, dude.
I have a Gazgul and a Makari. And I wonder if, I guess the Everchosen next year, or this year, is going to be monsters. The competition. So I'm wondering if I could take the new Gazgul and the new Makari and put them on one side of a crazy webway portal, and the old Gazgul and the old Makari on the other side of one, and have it be like a mirror type thing.
Oh yeah, do it.
How cool would that? And maybe use the new. This is another thing they previewed. There's a like Ziggurat that they're putting out for the Lizardmen. So I could put that portal at the top of the Ziggurat and like they're climbing it.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that might be hard to do, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I could use all kinds of OSL so that it's bathing both their faces, right? Like the energy will be in the middle, and they'll be both pairs will be facing it, and you could do like an OSL from that.
Yeah, that could be fun.
I mean, I'm not planning on winning, but I think it would. Nobody ever,
Right.
But it would be a good challenge.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun. It'll be also expensive, but we won't tell Wendy as she walks past me.
Yeah, let's not get stabbed.
Don't tell Mommy, Quinn. Don't tell Mommy.
Let's not get stabbed, please. Thanks. Okay, thanks, bye.
Stabbing. All right, so this is where we talk. All right, we need to have a come to the Emperor moment about how we're doing the show.
Yeah.
All right, because it's what kind of sparked this was something that Mark said in the last episode of NGC.
Okay.
Where they were talking about some special rules or something. I can't remember what they were actually talking about, but he said, yeah, it's like kind of like what Masters of the Forge used to do. They used to do these cool special rules for narrative rules for custom narrative rules. I'm like, used to do. And I'm looking back and I'm like, we have not done any custom rules. We've been doing these. I mean, we've focused on the narrative aspect of things.
Yeah.
Clearly. I mean, that's, that hasn't changed.
No, not
but
at all.
We've just been going from codex to codex to codex doing these trying to get a handle on how to do the narrative side of these codexes, and that's fine.
Well, we've been drinking from the fire hose, our content fire hose.
Well, going to one episode a month means that there's no room for anything else.
Right. Yep.
Right? So, like, there's no room to do additional things because it's just constantly doing that. So that's part of the problem. Also, I think, I haven't been able to prioritize things and organize things very well. I think my mental state is part of that. Like, because I'm obviously getting stuff done. Like, I'm painting a lot.
Yeah.
So I've had time to do show notes. Right? Like, I just haven't. So it's probably because I'm just not interested in it, in doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And I think people keep like, when's the next episode? When's the next episode? Right?
Yeah.
I don't think the monthly is really working.
Yeah. I don't know that I agree with you. Yes.
But can we do
bi-weekly?
You can tell that we haven't discussed this prior to the episode. We're just kind of spitballing it on the episode, which is fine.
Yeah. This is another in the minds of, or what's happening behind the scenes at Masters of the Forge.
Yeah. So like, I don't want to stop doing it. So
no, not at all.
Don't want to stop doing it, and we don't. So that means we need to carve out more time. Mm-hmm. But do we have to carve out? I have to like organize things. Like, I don't need to paint 2,500 points of an army in 3 months, right? That's not a thing that has to happen.
Right.
And if I plan the recording times for, the Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
And
I'm always good on this time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then use some of the time I've been using for painting models to instead do show notes. It shouldn't be a problem.
Right.
So, I started a Google calendar that I shared with you and I shared with Wendy for recording times. And I'm also going to add I'm going to actually schedule my research times and also the release dates so that you know when to do the editing and I know when to do the show notes. And we can get things nice and organized. We know when things have to be done. We're also going to shift. Okay, I said that like as if I knew what your answer was going to be, but I kind of know what your answer is going to be based on what you just said. Going to shift our focus to more focused topics instead of these general topics.
Yeah. I'm leaving that in.
Ralphie's brother. So for example, I think it would be awesome to do like flagellants and like these paint engines. Let's do a whole topic on that.
Yeah.
And and then in the next episode we'll plan. I will play test and you could play test too if I can get the damn things done in time for you to actually get it to a game. Yeah. We'll do some custom rules that only include like those flagellants. Maybe we'll do a different flagellant unit that you can build from the pieces in the model kits.
Okay.
Or a special scenario that features the paint engines.
Yeah, that'd be good because although I need to build more Sisters of Battle, so.
Well, good. That's what you get. But if we plan those topics ahead of time, you can talk about how they were to build and stuff. And we can talk about how the games that we played were with them. Yeah. Like I can talk to Alexis about having a game and saying, hey, can you include your flagellants and stuff in the game? Yeah. So let's do that. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, it works for me.
Let's try. Yeah. So we're going to go back to 2 episodes a month starting in February.
Woohoo.
We're going to record the second and fourth Sunday morning. Wendy just found out about this too.
Unless I'm out of town, I have to be careful with some of that. So
you don't have to worry about getting stabbed.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about getting stabbed. I mean, you could mail a knife to me with instructions, but that doesn't mean I have to open the box.
He said you can mail him a knife with instructions on what to do with it. Take knife.
Point at self.
just general self? No specific.
Well, I might say specific area, but you never know. Or,
maybe she just wants. Maybe you just
to wall, run into wall.
So much love. So much love.
Yeah. So we're getting hobby done. So like every episode of these monthly episodes, it's like we have an hour and a half of hobby progress to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's
just make one episode hobby and one episode whatever else you do.
well, that's what we used to do. We used to do a episode in the lore. We talk about the lore or something.
I got the lore.
And then the next episode we talked about the tabletop stuff.
Yeah.
And we can go back to, well, that was when we were weekly.
Yeah. No,
So
I don't
we
want to
could
go
do
back
the
to that one.
same. We could do the same, but with a bi-monthly.
Okay. That'll work.
And then we will have the regular hobby
Do you
progress
agree with this decision?
games
You are the boss.
Beyond the Fringe.
Yeah.
And then this Astropathic Communique where we talk about the releases that we got. So if I send you the book,
Yeah.
you do the book report.
Okay.
And then if I get the book, I do the book report maximum 5
If you collect
minutes.
4 stickers, you get a pizza
Rad.
at Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
Book it.
Oh, book it.
Book it
That's
pin.
right. The book it pin. You get a pin.
Oh, nice.
Or a free pizza at
Free
Pizza
personal
Hut.
pan pizza
For a
at
free
Pizza
personal
Hut.
pan pizza.
Yeah, I'll walk in with all the books I've read. Here you go.
Pizza Hut in Texas.
Yeah, actually, do you grew up in Texas? Yeah. Did you have Book It in Texas when you were a kid?
What is that again?
So it's where you read, if you read to your parents every night, your parents like
Signed off.
on it, and then if you did a week, you got a pin.
You got a pin, and then you brought it to, or it was a book. You got a pin to keep, but then you could have like a book with stickers.
Yeah,
you
if
could
you-
bring to Pizza Hut.
Yeah, if you actually filled out your reading thing, you got a free personal pan pizza at Pizza Hut.
This sounds familiar, but I don't
Yeah,
think I
pretty
ever
great.
did it.
But anyways, we'll have that Astropathic Communique section where we talk about the books we got from Games Workshop and
Yeah.
or what we're interested in, like in releases, and that will satisfy my desire to justify them sending us free crap. Which again, guys, if you're starting a podcast just to get free crap from Games Workshop, you're doing it wrong, because
Yeah.
the amount of effort it takes is not worth it. Just buy the book.
Just
Just buy the book. It's much cheaper than the amount of time it takes to do a podcast.
Yeah, it does. Oh, one other thing I forgot. I should put this back in my hobby progress, or at least back in my Beyond the Fringe. I discovered I own a bunch of microphones and mic stands. So I'm going to go through, because I did inventory. So I'm going to change out the microphone I'm using today, and you put on a newer microphone next time. So yeah. Which I know that's a weird segue, but as I was sitting here staring at the mic and looking at the decaying foam around the pop filter, it's like, yeah, this bad boy's gotta go to a retirement home, or I don't know.
All right, so next episode.
Yeah.
The next episode I'm delaying as I open up the calendar. The next episode will be recorded next week.
Yeah.
It will be recorded on the topic of like repentant units in 40K
Okay.
in the Sisters of Battle. And it will be released on the 9th.
Okay. Works for me.
And we'll come up with, if you have an idea for a topic, we'll come up with a topic for the episode after that,
Okay.
in like before we even record next week.
That's
So
right.
that we're always ahead of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe we'll do an episode on like which faction you chose for your
Thousand Sons. Yeah.
Thousand Sons, and I can talk about my Dark Eldar and the faction I'm choosing for them, because I'm having a narrative game with them this week, and we can talk about it at that time.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that works.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, dude.
Okay.
That will be it for episode 134. I
Yep.
hope everybody enjoyed our banter and the sausage making party that we. It's a sausage making party. The next episode is about repentance. But until then,
Play the game the way you want to.
awesome.
Nailed it.
Sausage. Nailed it.
Sausage party.
The episode's over. Yay! Yay! I can't squeeze him to make him meow like I used to do Fritz. That's not.
I forgot about
That's-
that.
That's not appropriate.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so, and stop.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial, International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. The music used in this podcast was made by Parad of the duo Sublevel 3. The track is used with his permission.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.